The nature of the mind is one of the most difficult problems within philosophy. At the core is the tension between the multiple perspectives within this argument. Materialism, focusing on the third person scientific view of the world, substance dualism, doing the opposite with primarily first person subjective views of the world. Ultimately, both fall short of a complete account of the mind, with property dualism offering the most compelling framework, holding the integrity of science while acknowledging the the irreducible nature of the subjective experience. First, one should start with materialism. This belief focuses on the concept that everything is physical and that the mind is mostly just states in the brain. This view draws strength from scientific fields, with advances in neuroscience which show correlations between mental activity and brain processes, from injuries to specific regions or altering personalities, chemical substances that alter mood and perception, and cognitive functions that have been mapped through neural imaging. These findings suggest that the mind is dependent on the brain, and this may be wholly physical. However, materialism cannot explain subjective experiences. The concept of qualia reveals a gap between physical scientific materials and conscious reality. A complete account of neural activity cannot capture what feelings and sensations are. It cannot taste coffee or see red. Materialism excels at describing the external, observable features of the mind, but it struggles to account for the internal lived dimension. In reducing the mental to the physical, it risks leaving out precisely what makes consciousness unique. Now we will look at substance dualism. This asserts that the mind and body are different substances. This view preserves the reality of subjective experience and offers an intuitive account of the self as something distinct from the physical body. It explains consciousness by positing a non physical mind or soul. Yet, substance dualism introduces difficulties of its own. Chief among these is the interaction problem. If the mind is non physical, how does it casually interact with with the physical body? Furthermore, substance dualism lacks empirical support and significantly complicates our thinking by introducing a second kind of substance. While it successfully defends the reality of experience, it does so at the cost of the cost of explanatory coherence. Property dualism emerges as a compelling alternative by navigating a middle path between these extremes. It agrees with materialism that there is only one kind of substance, the physical, but argues that this substance possesses two fundamentally different kinds of properties, physical and mental. Mental properties, such as conscious experience, are not reducible to physical properties, even though they arise from and depend upon physical systems like the brain. This position allows property dualism to incorporate the strengths of both competing views while avoiding their weaknesses. Like materialism, it remains compatible with scientific evidence and does not posit mysterious non physical substances. Like substance dualism, it acknowledges that subjective experience is real and irreducible. Crucially, it recognizes the third person scientific descriptions, while powerful, are incomplete. They capture structure and function, but not lived experience. First person awareness, by contrast, provides direct access to consciousness, revealing aspects of reality that cannot be translated into purely physical terms. One of the most significant advantages of property dualism lies in its ability to address the unity of consciousness. Human experiences is not fragmented into isolated processes, rather, it is unified into a single coherent perspective. We do not experience separate streams of color, sound, and thought as independent entities, but as part of a unified conscious field. This unity is difficult to reconcile with the brain's highly distributed and modular structure as described by materialism. While substance dualism can easily attribute unity to a non physical soul, it does so at the cost of interaction problem. Property dualism, however, offers a more balanced explanation. Unity of consciousness is understood as holistic mental property that emerges from but is not reducible to complex physical processes. In this way, property dualism respects both the external and internal dimensions of reality. It acknowledges the success of science in explaining the physical world, while insisting that subjective experience cannot be dismissed or reduced. Rather than forcing a choice between objective and subjective perspectives, it integrates them into a more comprehensive framework. For these reasons, property dualism stands as the most persuasive and philosophically robust position in the ongoing effort to understand the nature of consciousness.